We're heading to Mondo Brewery in London for this New England Pale called Road Soda. This is an interesting one because this beer cost me £3.50. Not much more different than the beers that you can get from the supermarkets in terms of price. But how does it taste? Let's check out the review to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing this beer. It's a New England Pale. It's from Mondo Brewery. They're based in London, in Battersea, and it's called Road Soda. It's coming in at 4.8%. It's a nice looking can, you know, there's a lot going on. I don't know nothing about Mondo Brewery, but the reason why I picked this up, like I said in the introduction, is that this one cost me £3.50, and I thought from a bottle shop, that's quite on the low levels in terms of price. And I'm interested because, you know, I'm spending now £3.50, £3.50 and £4 for a 440ml can of beer from the supermarket. So how does this compare? You know, is this because if I'm paying £3.50 from a bottle shop from this beer, generally I would expect more from a bottle shop beer because it's not available in the supermarkets. And at £3.50, it's definitely the cheapest sort of beer that I would probably drink pay for a beer in the bottle shop. So, can this compare? You know, is this as good? I'm hoping that this beer is going to be better than the beers we get in the supermarkets. I expect this to be at another level higher than your likes of your Northern Monk sort of thing, your Magic Rocks, the North Brewing Company. You know, we've had some really great beers from the North Brewing Company. So let's get this beer into a glass and see what it's like. I mean, it's a New England Pale, which, you know, as much I'm a big fan of New England IPAs. New England Pales, you know, they're not as commonly found, I don't think, you know, because they're a lighter sort of pale ale, basically, but with a sort of New England twist to them. So beer in a glass. It's pretty light and yellowy. It's got a slight haze, but I wouldn't say it's in that sort of custard level of sort of thick haze. Got a little white thing, one finger white fluffy head. Let's get some aroma, shall we? Yes, I mean, it's an interesting aroma. I'm just getting a pure sweetness. It's very much like sort of pineapple chunks. I've done a few reviews pretty much back to back today, and I reviewed some of the beers from Polly's, which I've done in the showcase. Hopefully they're all live now, and you know, there's some pineapple smells with those, but it really smells like fresh pineapple. There's a real sweetness about this. It's almost like you can smell a sweet smell, and then you're sort of trying to, you know, it smells like cola cubes or sort of pineapple chunk cubes, that sort of thing. You know, it's almost like the sugary taste and aromas are there first before you get the, you know, the actual fruit or the actual, you know, what it actually is. And that's all I'm getting, really, a real sweetness. And you can see there, the head is pretty much sort of dyed, and we're getting it's much more yellowy. It looks like a pineapple juice. So I wonder if it tastes like it. Cheers, everyone. It's a strange one, that. I'm trying to work out. When I first tasted, I thought, oh, this is quite carbonated, but got quite a soft mouthfeel to it. There is carbonation there, but I would say that it's, you know, it's not as high as you probably would expect. It's quite low levels. Because it's got that soft mouthfeel, it's got quite a low carbonation to it. You taste, when you first put it in your mouth, it's quite an interesting one. When you first put it in your mouth, and it goes, you know, first thing is in your lips, and you get that sort of fizziness, and you think, oh, this is going to be high carbonation. But then that sort of, it disappears really, really quickly. And actually the carbonation is quite low. And I think, you know that carbonation is quite low because the head is, you know, is quite sort of non-existent to some extent. It's still moving up the glass there. I'm getting a real sort of pineapple chunk You know, it's a pineapple chunks, the sweets pineapple chunk, that candied pineapple that we got in the aromas. It carries through in the taste. It's quite pleasant, but what is really sort of flummoxing me on this one is the carbonation, because when you first put it to your mouth, it's like it fizzes, it's fizzy, but it dies down really quickly. I'm going to have another taste of this. I think the mouthfeel is quite soft, but it's quite thin as well. And the carbonation is sort of not there. You know, you don't drink it and think, oh, this is overly fizzy, overly gassy. But there's a slight sort of fizziness of it, like almost like sherbet lemon sort of thing. And then it's a very pineapple, but in a sort of slightly artificial way. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's almost like I haven't tasted this sort of pineapple taste. It's quite thin, so the pineapple is very sort of comes and then it goes very, very quickly. And then you've got this sort of quite a watery sort of taste, which is quite funny because this is the big thing that I wanted to experiment with this beer, because you know, you've seen me on the channel when I've reviewed beers, especially from the sort of recent Little Beer festival. You know, you're paying, you know, under £2 for a 440ml can of beer there, and there is an element sometimes with a lot of the beer that it just tastes a little bit diluted, as if you can't get the full flavours from it because the margins aren't there, so they just got to water it down somehow. I don't think they water it down, but there's just, in terms, the hops to water ratio is a lot lower, and this is the same. You know, yes, it's a pale ale, so you usually get, you know, much thinner in terms of its body and less sort of real big flavours because there's just less hops in it. You don't get that real fruit bomb. Trying to determine what it's like though, it's because it's quite different. It's nice. It's got a real fruity, almost like fruit salad, you know, again, and I'm comparing this a lot with the sweets because it has that sort of, it's really sweet, and we had the sweetness in the aroma, and we've got a very sweet tasting beer. So you've got pineapple, but you've also got that fruit salad sort of, you know, the fruit salad. I'm trying to think what fruit salad sweet is, what the flavours are, but it's just it's called fruit salad, and it's like that. It's got that fruit salad flavour. It's nice. It's really easy to drink because I'm drinking it down here. Yes, because I'm trying to gather the flavours from it, but it's nice. It's pleasant. There's no bitterness. It's probably a little bit overly sweet. It's almost getting to the point where it's like a sour beer where you've got that sort of fizziness in it, you know, like a tangfastic sort of sweet. It's getting close to that. It's not quite to that level, which is good because I think when you get to that level, you know, it probably would be a bit lacking. But it tastes good, but there's something missing from it. The body's not there. It's very, very thin. And the flavour's very sort of pineapple-y fruit salad. There's nothing on the back end because you get that at the front end and then it goes very watery. I think I've tasted enough. I'm going to sit and think about the scores for this one. But it's an interesting one. So, give me a few seconds and we'll come up with some scores. Okay, the scores are in for this New England Pale called Road Soda, and it's from the Mondo Brewery, based in Battersea in London. Lovely looking artwork. Cost me £3.50. It's quite cheap, and it comes in at 4.8%. It's a very interesting beer. Not necessarily in an interesting great way, or not also in an interesting bad way. It's just quite interesting. First things first though, aroma. I got a real sweet pineapple chunks. You know, when you go to back in the day, I mean, even now you can go to a ye olde sweet shop type of place, and you can go and get, I don't know, you probably can't get a quarter of pineapple chunks because you know it's like 200 grams of pineapple chunks or whatever it is. But it reminds me of that. You know, it takes me back to my childhood. It's got a nice, sweet, sugary sort of smell. So aroma-wise, I'm giving it. You know, I'm going to actually put the score up a little bit. I'm going to give it 13. 13 out of 20 for aroma. Appearance, I mean, I've nearly drank it all. It had a nice yellowy sort of, a really nice yellowy sort of body. Very small head. And that sort of disappeared quite quickly. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour-wise, I mean, I've drank this beer down. It's very easy drinking. Has a sweetness to it. Has the pineapple chunks. Has that sort of fruit salad sweet. But you can't say that this beer has got like fresh pineapple or mango or papaya or citrus. It's got none of that. There's an element of very sweet tasting. Very sort of like, you know, shop sweets basically. You know, you're not getting that sort of fresh fruits flavour. You're getting a real sort of artificial. It's a little bit overly sweet to a point where it gets to like a sour, you know, like a ghost or something like that. But it's not quite that level. It tastes nice, but there's a but here. But I want more from my flavour. You know, the flavour just is a little bit artificial, but it never gets to the point where it's, you know, not pleasant, or it never gets to the point where it's too bitter or too sour or too sweet even. So flavour-wise, I'm giving it a 31. Value for money. Well, as I said, this is a £3.50 can of beer. As I say, this is comparable with what you would pay in a supermarket for a beer. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I think it's worth that. And then in terms of my overall experience, it's a nice beer. I mean, look at it. I've drank it. I've drank this beer. It's not my first beer of the night, so it's not as if I'm like, I'm really thirsty, I want to get it down. It's really quite nice actually, but it's lacking. You know, you get a taste of pineapple and sweetness and fruit salad, and then within a second or so, that's a sort of, it just sort of goes to nothing. Very, very sort of one note, and it doesn't have any sort of, it's not a robust beer. It doesn't have any sort of middle or back end to it. You know, there's no sort of grapefruit. There's no bitterness on the back end, which isn't a bad thing, but it sort of comes and then just disappears into a very sort of watery sort of taste. So I'm knocking it back a little bit, but you know, I could drink a few of these. It's a very nice beer. It's a nice pale ale. It just is a little bit lacking. And, you know, maybe, you know, both on this channel and, you know, you go out there and you go to a bottle shops and you can get all kinds of pale ales. And some of them have got a lot more to them than this. But I'm also thinking it's £3.50, so it's good. So my overall experience, I'm going to get 13. I think that's a fair score. So we top those scores up, we're getting a 72. So it's a low white snake beer, but it's still recommended. It's £3.50. It's a good value beer from a bottle shop. It's from a brewery that, you know, I've not had before, but I'm interested in trying more from them, see what else they can do. I think it's a good starting point, and I think it's very comparable with the sort of supermarket beers. Yes, there are better supermarket beers for the same sort of price, but there's also a lot of supermarket beers at that price that are nowhere near as good as this. So 72. I'm at the point now where I think that anything over 70 is a definitely recommended beer and would drink again. So this is a good beer. So if you see this one, or you see anything else by Monza, I mean, it's not a beer that, you know, you see a lot of, but if anyone else has tried a Monza beer, have they tried this one? Have you tried a different one by them? Let me know in the comments what you think, because I think it's, you know, we're getting there with this beer. It's not bad. It's lacking a little bit, but then it's reflected a little bit in the price. So, until the next one, you know what you need to do? You need to keep on rocking.